A light burnt out in my house. And of course, it was in one of those locations that's really difficult to get to. You have to pull out the ladder and climb higher on the ladder than you're comfortable doing. And of course, you get to the top of the ladder, and it's one of those fixtures where it's not even easy to get to the light bulb. It has those little finger-like screws on three sides of it that you have to loosen to get off the glass part and without dropping and breaking the glass part. And of course, I don't know whose fingers tightened those little screws to begin with originally, but they were obviously stronger than my little fingers, so I couldn't get the screws loose. And so, of course, I had to get down from the ladder. I had to get some pliers. I had to go back up. I had to then loosen the screws and get it down. And I took out the incandescent bulb, and I said, enough is enough. I'm going to replace it with an LED bulb because they just last forever. In fact, I was looking at the package, and it was really depressing. I came to realize that light bulb's probably going to outlive me. And I just started really reflecting on mortality. I mean, how could you help but reflect on mortality nowadays, right? Isn't that something that's kind of like pushing at you? And so I thought, okay, enough of this mortality depressing thought. I'm going to put on one of my favorite Advent CDs, Night of Silence by Marty Haugen, because I know it has this really, kind of bouncy kind of uplifting music, like people look east, the time is near for the crowning of the year. Make your house fair as you are able. Trim the hearth and watermelon. I don't remember all the words, but I thought, gee, let's be uplifted with one of my favorite Advent CDs. So I put it in. Each winter as the year grows older, we each grow older too. The chill sets in a little colder. The verities we knew seem shaken and untrue. I shut that CD off real quickly. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm looking for uplifting music to get out of this whole mortality thing, and it's just like, oh my goodness, the verities we knew seem shaken untrue. And I'm getting to that point in my life where, I'm kind of realizing that it's true. Things that I never expected to change, changed. I mean, I remember as a child, the end of our driveway was lit by a gas lantern light. One of those gas light kind of things? Now, it'd been there forever. I don't remember it burnt out, and I watched my dad. He replaced those little silk mantle cloth bags where how in the world that worked. It just fascinated me. But I mean, I remember gas lights. And then in my home, I don't like coming home to a dark home, especially driving into a dark drive, so I had a light burnout in the outside fixture, and at the time, it was an incandescent bulb. And I thought, well, I'm going to put something in there that lasts even longer than an incandescent. I put in one of those spiral fluorescent bulbs, those kind of bulbs. You remember those? Well, do you ever read the packages of those bulbs? It burnt out right away. Why? Because you're not supposed to put them in with the bulb part down and the socket part in the top or something about some heater or something. You're only supposed to put them there, whatever. All I know is I replaced it with an LED bulb, which is brighter and cheaper. I mean, these LED bulbs are amazing. Have you noticed the vehicles nowadays, especially? Do you notice what some of those newer semi-trucks are like? I mean, they are like a moving light show on the roads at night because of LED lights. The verities we knew seemed shaken and untrue, and I thought to myself, I wonder what they're going to invent next. Because the reality is, these LED lights are supposed to last forever, right? In fact, the bulbs that we put into this church, the rating on them is they're supposed to last 34 years of continuous use. 34 years of continuous use. Yeah, right. Have you noticed? Right up there above my altar, one's already burnt out. And of course, it's an important one because my old eyes need brighter light so that I can read now. And then there's one over there by the exit door. Of course, that one burnt out too. Yeah, 34 years those bulbs are supposed to be lasting. And there we've already got two that have burnt out in less than 5 years, because the reality is no matter how hard we try, and we get so much better with things, they still fail, don't they? And yet, there is a light that will never fail. We heard that today in the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 6 through 8. A man named John was sent from God. He came for testimony, to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He was not the light, but came to testify to the light. That's the light that will never fail. And in this time where we seem to be experiencing so much darkness, people are trying to bring light to this darkness. Have you noticed that this year there seems to be more Christmas lights in our neighborhoods than ever before? It's like people are saying, enough of this darkness. Enough of this darkness. We are going to protest against this darkness by making as much light as we can shine into this world. Because in that light, we find refuge. In the light, we find safety. But the reality is, someday those lights are going to be shut off and taken down. Again, the light in the darkness that never ends is Jesus. And that's the light that we celebrate today. A light that brings us joy. As we heard in our second reading, rejoice always, pray unceasingly. Rejoice always. That's what we're truly celebrating. And so after that Marty Hagen CD let me down, I put in a Vigil Project CD. You know, that CD that we passed out to you for our Advent program, that Vigil Project CD. The first song on there is in need of a Savior. And what I like is the first words are, we stand in darkness, we wait on this holy night, broken and helpless. Descendeth upon us your light. Descendeth upon us your light. That's the light we're celebrating during this Advent season. That's the light that will provide us with never-ending refuge and safety. That is the light that will never burn out.